Today I'm going to be talking about how I got my residency in Albania. I'm going to be breaking down the entire process step by step. So if you want to come and live in Albania too, then you'll know exactly what the process looks like and you can go through it yourself. This is going to be a very symbolic video. I'm going to be walking you through the park as I explain the entire process to you. So basically you're going to get some scenery and you're going to see the beautiful vibes in Tirana in the artificial lake park. And I'm also going to be telling you everything you need to know so you can get a visa yourself. Now, one thing I do want to say is that I didn't complete the process myself. I worked with some lawyers, but even then, you're still going to need to gather all the necessary paperwork to actually make the application. So I'm going to be explaining exactly what that paperwork is and how you need to get it, put it all together, and how you can make the application yourself. Okay, so one of the documents that you need to get, and this is the most important one, and it's part of the digital nomad visa, is you need to have an employment contract or a service agreement with a company that is outside of Albania that you're working remotely for. So this could be your own company or it could be a company that you work for outside of Albania. Once you have that service agreement that says how much money you make, so your salary, and it also has to say that you're able to work remotely as well, then you can use that as a part of your application process. So that is the first document that you want to get your hands on to start the process. So the next thing that you need is a rental agreement. So when you come to Tirana or to Albania, what you want to do is, the first thing is to find an apartment. So when I came here in October 2024, before I made the application for the visa, what I did was I went out and found an apartment that I wanted to live in. I obviously went and viewed a bunch of different apartments, found one that I liked the most, negotiated a rental agreement, and then once I had that piece of paper to say where my address was going to be in Albania, then I could move on to the next step in getting the rest of the paperwork. The rest of the paperwork includes things like a bank statement, so you need to have at least 4,000 euros in the bank deposited. They want to see that as a proof of funds to actually be able to apply for the visa. On top of that, you need to prove that you're not a criminal, so you need to get a criminal record from the country that you're in. So I got mine from the UK. I had to go all the way there to collect it. And then the final thing you need is a work experience certificate. So wherever you've worked in the past, whether that was in a job or something else, or maybe even a degree or some sort of a certificate proving that you're an expert or you have experience in the thing that you want to do. So I just basically reached out to my old employer and asked for them to sign a piece of paper saying that I worked for them and the skills that I had, and that was enough proof for me to make the application. Now, once you've got all of this paperwork, you're going to be able to actually go and make the application. Now, you can either make the application yourself or you can work with lawyers to do it for you. I worked with lawyers. I paid them around 450 euros as their fee, plus there was some additional fees on top of that for the notarization and stuff like that. But overall, I would say it's a much easier process if you work with lawyers versus if you try to do the whole process yourself, because you've never done the process before, you're not going to understand how to do it. And lawyers would have done it multiple times, especially the ones that I've worked with, and they're going to be able to guide you through the process and just hold your hand throughout the entire journey of making the application and getting your residency. So if you do have the budget, I would highly recommend you working with them. If you want to find out who my lawyers are and who I worked with, then just send me a message, like leave a comment down below or DM me on Instagram. Find a way to get a hold of my email. It's not that difficult. And contact me, and I'll refer you to my lawyers and you can work directly with them. But other than that, I would say in total, to collect all of the paperwork, the lawyers' fees, everything like that, in total it cost me around £1,000, something like that in total. Plus I had to pay for obviously renting my apartment and stuff like that. We won't count that as part of the costs, but overall you're looking to spend around 1,000 to 1,250 euros in total to collect all the paperwork. At least that's what I spent. Travel back and forth between the UK, getting all the paperwork, and then obviously getting all the stuff notarized within the UK and then bringing it back here. So that's kind of what the process looks like. Like I said, I didn't have to make the application. I just had to collect the paperwork and then hand it over to the lawyers, and they took care of the entire process for me. They took care of the application itself. They made the application and then they kept me updated throughout the entire process. There is one thing that came up, and you know, if you're watching this video, you're going to get a lot of value from it, because I didn't know this before I made the actual application. So one thing that they didn't tell me is that you need to open a bank account in Albania. So in order to actually, you don't need this to make the application, but most likely they will ask you to have proof of funds in an Albanian bank account. Now, that doesn't mean you need to put all of your proof of funds into that Albanian bank account. It just means you need to put that 1 month salary into, so whatever your salary is on that service agreement or that employment contract or whatever it may be, you need to put that salary into that bank account so that they can see that the business that you have the service agreement with has paid that into your bank account. The second thing is this: you need to realize one thing which I didn't know from the beginning. So I came here in October and I made the application midway through November. As soon as you make the application, that is technically when your residency starts, assuming that you actually get the residency. So my application was made in November 14th, and I got my residency on around April 14th. So it took us around 5 months to actually get the residency, but the residency expiry date doesn't start once you actually get it. It starts when you make the application. So on my residency card, it says that the date it started from is November 14th, and then the end date is November 14th, 2025, so 1 year. So keep that in mind. If you want to come here and make the application, I would suggest you come here anytime after April, because that's when you're going to get the best season. And obviously when you make the application, you'll be able to actually stay here for the whole year, whether that's 6 months or 12 months, and then come back and go back as many times as you want once you've got the residency. If I could go back, I would come here after April, towards the end of April, and then make the application. And yes, I wouldn't have spent like winter time here, but it is what it is. It worked out in the end. I got it, and basically I can renew it now moving forwards. The minimum requirement to maintain the residency is to stay in Albania for at least 6 months of the year. So minimum 6 months, whether that's 1 month at a time, 2 months at a time, whatever. You could stay for 2 or 3 months, leave for a month or two, come back, stay for another 2 or 3 months, and add it up that way. As long as you spend 6 months throughout the duration of the entirety of the residency, so whether that's if that's 1 year in the beginning, then you're going to be able to maintain it and keep it. So that's basically everything I know about the entire process. If you have any questions, ask me in the comments below. But like I said, the main thing that you want to do is get all of that paperwork together, as many of it as you can before you actually visit Albania. And then that's going to give you a head start before making the application or before talking with the lawyers. Okay, so like I said, that is basically an overview in the entire process. Now, in terms of my thoughts on living in Albania, right now I'm not too sure, because I came here during winter time. It wasn't really the best time to come here, to be honest, because there wasn't really a lot to do. I got really bored here, and I've been here for pretty much 6 months at this point since making the application, or even before that when I came here in October. So the thing is, if you want to live in Albania, I think it's probably one of the best tax residencies you can have in Europe. For me, in my personal situation, I don't have to pay any income tax as a digital nomad in Albania. Now, that could change, but as far as I'm aware, in my current situation right now, I don't have to pay anything. Now, obviously, you have to do the research based on your situation, based on where your company is located, all that kind of stuff, and figure out if that's the same for you. So obviously speak to the lawyers to find that out, and accountants as well. So I would say as a base, it's very good. However, like I said, if you do want to make the application and you don't want to get bored whilst you're waiting for the residency to come out, which I basically was stuck here until the residency came out. I did go to LA and come back, so you don't have any issues if you do want to go for a little bit and come back. However, you can't just go for like 1-2 months, because they might need something from you and then you have to come all the way back just to give them that thing. So in terms of that, I would say try to come here maybe around April time, May time. If you come here around April, start the process of looking for your apartment, get that paperwork, and then in that process, get the other paperwork as well, and then make the application in May. I think that's probably the best timing you can actually do, because then you can spend the summertime here, and winter time you can go off to Southeast Asia or to South America, and you don't have to stay here during winter time, which, like I said, is not the best time to be here. So that's just a little bit of advice for myself and something that I've learned throughout the process. I would highly recommend you follow this advice. Or just come here during winter time, if that's your thing. So what would I rate Albania overall for digital nomads? I would say in terms of internet, it's really good. Like, I'm getting like 5 Mbps download speed. Upload speed is pretty good as well, 50 to 100. So you're not gonna have any issues in terms of internet. In terms of cost of living, I've talked about this in my prior videos as well. Albania can be as affordable and as expensive as your budget basically determines. So you could live here easily on €1,000 a month. 1,500 is what I spend per month. So you could realistically live on a very, very low budget here, which is great if you want to focus on your business, lower your expenses, and basically just get the most out of a place without spending too much money. There's a lot of things to do here during summertime. You can go down to the beaches, you can go up to the mountains or the lakes. So it's basically like a holiday destination, except you don't even have to leave or go anywhere. You have it right at your doorstep. And I think that's one of the biggest pros of living here. It's the ability to do these things during the summertime. And also, I mean, in terms of just the energy in the city, in Tirana, I've been to Durrës as well. It's a very, I've been to multiple cities in Albania, and they all have something unique about them. Wherever you decide to live in Albania, you're gonna have a good time, especially if it's during the summer season. So in terms of my rating for digital nomads, I would say In terms of lifestyle, things to do, I would give it like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 during the summertime. In terms of affordability and cost of living, I'm gonna have to give that like a 9 out of 10. It's probably one of the best places in the world to live and really get a lot for the money that you're able to spend here. And then in terms of just an environment where it motivates you and it inspires you to work hard, I would say there's probably better areas where there are more high-level entrepreneurs or people that are doing the same kind of thing. I don't really meet a lot of digital nomads here that are doing similar stuff. Maybe I just haven't been to the right places, but I will be checking out somewhere like Bali soon, where I know for a fact that there's just going to be a whole community of digital nomads and online entrepreneurs there. Whereas here, I think it's a little bit more difficult to come by. Maybe in Tirana there's more, but other cities probably not as much. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking for a community, you're looking for expats, it's not really the place where you're going to find a ton of expats. There definitely are some, but you're not going to find as many here as you would somewhere like in Bali, for example, or in Thailand. So just keep that in mind if you're coming here with the intention of building like a community of people that are also working online as well. So just bear that in mind.